Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? I hope you're all fit and well. Hope Storm Babette is not lashing down upon you at the moment. I am now at the halfway point in 4 shows and 2 days. It's a marathon, I'm going to be honest. Obviously, we had our morning show yesterday, and I was delighted to see so many of you here last night for the all-electric show. We then have this morning show to get through ahead of our final show this week. Please make note, which kicks off at 7 p.m. tonight. We'll be telling you more about that a bit later on in the show. But I do need to remind you, once again, there is no show on Friday. No show tomorrow. Put a note in your diary. There is no show tomorrow. Now, as a small aside to that, I heard from last night's prize winner, Mark Whiting, who is in the chat. Good morning, Mark. You might recall that Mark won our Kinsoffer wireless phone charger, and I was all set to take that down to the post office for him today. Unfortunately, having checked, it seems that Mark's phone is not actually wireless charging compatible, so he has decided to very kindly donate it, and he is donating it to none other than Mr. Kenneth Hatcher to run alongside the new iPhone 15 Pro that he's just ordered. So Ken, if I get a chance today, I'll be sending you the wireless charger, assuming I can find your address. So even though you didn't win last night, you somehow managed to win this morning. I don't know how that came about. Lou Carney's just joined us as well. I'll catch it up on catch up later. Watch it on catch up later. Yeah, please do that. Gary Muirhead asking about my good lady wife. She's off shopping again today, so she can't be doing too badly. In fact, there she is. I'm on the mend now. Thank you. Good. There's Lou Carney saying good morning. The Storm Babette has let up here for now. The weather warnings are in place until midday Saturday. Yes, batten down the hatches, people. Now, obviously, you can always, like those people did, you can always have your say on this show. Just type any questions, comments, or anything else into the chat. But if you'd like to lend your voice to the show, you can also leave us a voicemail message that we may or may not use in a future episode. To leave us a voicemail, I'm just going to send you the link now when I can find the button to do that. It is, let me think, it's that one. Also going to say good morning to Dan Cullen, who's just arrived and who is having excavator problems this morning. Seems to be a bit of a common theme. Well done, Mark. That's a really nice thing you've done, given a prize. I do like it when things go back into the pot, I have to say. And our friend William Forrest from the Attachments Company up in Bonnie, Scotland. Good morning, William. I was talking to William just before I came on the show, actually. So good morning to you, William. Very interesting developments over at that company. Go and take a look at William's LinkedIn, would you? Company's been renamed, but it's also transatlantic. You got William and his fiance, whose name has completely escaped me, working here in the UK selling attachments, and William's brother is doing the same thing, like a mirror operation, over in the States. Interesting times. I'd like to get to have a chat with you about all of that at some point. Andy Dyson from Erith has just arrived, says good morning, Demolishers. Hope you're fit and well, Andy. Thank you for joining us. Now, without further ado, let me roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road. See, this is precisely why the live format works so well. I'd forgotten the name of William's fiance. I'd also forgotten the name of his brother. He popped up in the chat. Laura is his fiance. Morning, Laura. Morning, Andrew. Probably not out of bed yet because he's over in the States, but good morning. Attachments Company, go check them out. And there is Graham. Footy Williams has just joined us as well. Tom Whiting's with us as well. Now, it is, what is it? It is Thursday, the 19th of October. Welcome to the windswept and interesting Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, we're straight talking about the Cat 352 demolition excavator. Mecalac charges into the electric excavator market. Komatsu challenges accepted wisdom with its new electric excavator, and the Jumbo is officially a world beater. Come to all that in just a moment, but first, let's take a quick peek back through the mist of time to see what was happening on this very day in history. On this day in 1216, King John of England died and was replaced by his 9-year-old son, Henry III. 9 years old. I'm sure he was perfectly well placed to run a country. In 1781, British forces signed terms to surrender to George Washington, bringing to an end the US Revolutionary War. On this day in 1951, that's 6 years after the official end of World War II, US President Harry Truman formally ended the state of war with Germany. In 1977, Concorde landed in New York City for the first time. And in 1990, the movie Dances with Wolves, with Kevin Costner, premiered in Washington, D.C. It would later win the Oscar for Best Picture. Now, before we go any further, let me quickly remind you of our question of the day. Yes, Gary Muirhead, our resident quizmaster, strikes again. His question of the day, simply this, and it's more complicated than you might think. What is your current favourite TV show? Not your favourite TV show of all time. What are you watching right now? What is it that you can't miss? Your favourite current TV show? Don't want to hear about Only Fools and Horses and, in my case, Hill Street Blues. Long forgotten. What is it that you're watching right now, right today? Have to say, and I don't think I'm alone in this, I rarely actually watch TV these days. I consume more media online than I do on the telly. But I do look forward to Gone Fishing with Paul Whitehouse and Bob Mortimer. Two main reasons. It's fishing. I like fishing. And there are a couple of old buffers. I consider myself one of them. So, yes, what is it that you're watching? Let us know in the chat. And I don't think I am alone because question of the day, Tom Whiting. I've hardly watched any telly except Taskmaster for over a year. It's nearly all YouTube that I watch. And there is this belief, I think, that it's young people that do that. And certainly the younger members of my family, my children, all spend most of their time online rather than watching actual TV. And even when they do watch TV, it's because it's been prompted by something they've read online. But nobody in this house, aside from my other half, watches TV as such. I think the question's great, absolutely brilliant. But I wonder how much longer it's going to be relevant. What is your current? No, let me do it the other way around. What is your favourite current TV show? Let us know in the chat. And while you're thinking about that, let's have some of this. Yeah, asking me to name my favourite machine is a bit like asking me to choose my favourite football player. There's just too many other things to consider. Applications, specific duties, fuel usage and consumption. I could go on. But there is one machine there's two, but I'm going to talk about one now, the other one later. There is one machine with which I have a certain affinity. It's a machine I saw originally as an unfinished prototype in Japan way back in 2019. At the time, I was forbidden from taking photographs of it because it had the wrong boom, the wrong undercarriage. It wasn't painted. You could kind of see where it was going, but it's come of age since. And here it is. That machine is the CAT 352 straight boom demolition excavator. Right, I'm going to throw over to the chat. Bunch of stuff to get through over there. Ken Hatcher says, that was a nice machine. Ken, I don't know if you arrived, but that's coming to you. You didn't win it, but Mark Whiting has donated it to you. If you get a chance, go back to the beginning of the show, but you'll learn that Mark Whiting won it last night on our all-electric show, then found out his iPhone doesn't, or his phone rather, doesn't work with a wireless charger. So he's kindly donated it to go alongside your new iPhone 15 Pro that is on its way. Now, I've got in my script here the fact that Armac Demolition is rocking a couple of those Cat 352s. I remember seeing at least one of them when Armac was working down at Wembley Stadium. And frankly, if a demolition machine is good enough for Armac, it's good enough for anyone. Turns out I was absolutely right, because there's Andy Dyson. Yep, Era switched from Hitachi 490s to Cat 352s. Excellent demolition excavator, he says. Hey, listen, if it's good enough for Armac and it's good enough for Erith, it really is good enough for anybody. Gary Muirhead likes the reverse fan idea, and there's Leslie McGeechy saying exactly the same thing. Auto reverse fan is a must for demolition. Totally 100% agree with all of that. Now, let me have a look. We need to do something else, don't we? Yes, we will be talking. Let me get that off the screen first of all. We will be talking about another demolition machine with which I have something of an affinity a bit later in the show. In fact, right at the very end of the show, I think. But first, this.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
If you were here for last night's all-electric show, you might recall that Adam Phillips of Mecalac UK was in the chat asking why I hadn't featured the Mecalac E12 electric excavator. Got to be honest, hands up, guilty as charged, my lad. It was an oversight on my part, and it's a particularly painful because I do consider myself a bit of a Mecalac fan. So with that in mind, I thought I'd feature the machine today. This is what I, and therefore you, missed last night. Yeah, I don't know if it's the futuristic look of the Mecalac machines, but that just looks like it was always destined to be electric powered, doesn't it? In fact, I'd go so far as to say it looks... It's electrified! Thanks, John. We will be back in just a moment with another notable electric machine. Well, for your discussion and delectation. I just need to press the right button when I find it. It's this one. If you were here last night, you will recall that last night's all-electric show actually opened with one of the smallest electric machines in the Komatsu equipment range. Today, we're going to be featuring one of the biggest. This is construction range. I realise they make electric machines for mining. This is one of the biggest in their construction range. Take a look at this.
My name is Andrew Earing, Director of Products and Technical Service at Komatsu, and I'm excited to introduce you to the new electric PC210E excavator. This excavator stands out by integrating a Proterra-powered lithium-ion battery that enables clean, eco-friendly operation of up to 8 hours. Being able to harness this emissions-free electric power will enable your construction business to work comfortably in various work environments without worrying about exhaust or noise emissions, which means the PC210E opens the door to expand your business to indoor sites, congested residential and commercial areas, and sites with restrictive noise ordinances and exhaust regulations. Using this machine also helps your operators reduce their fatigue and work more productively with less noise and zero engine vibration, as well as lessening the harmful risk associated with exhaust emissions. And as we become more aware of climate change and its negative effects on the Earth, this excavator is designed to help move your business towards realizing a more sustainable future with zero exhaust gas emissions while still working effectively and efficiently. At Komatsu, we're in the process of working with our customers to explore all of the unique applications for hybrid and electric vehicles, but we're also in this to understand the needs of our customers and to make sure we provide the right solutions today and tomorrow as we step through this transition period together. We understand this is not a one-size-fits-all solution, which is why we're also exploring other clean technologies and renewable energy sources, such as clean diesel, hydrogen combustion, and hydrogen fuel cells. We're committed to our customers so they can achieve their goals and continue their commitment to sustainability, regardless of where they are on their journey.
Looks like Volvo have got some competition in the electric excavator business. Now, I do need to say a very quick good morning to Andrew Croft. I can see over on LinkedIn that he's made a comment. I can't see what the comment is, and it's not coming up here. Don't know what's going on there, but I do need to say good morning to Andrew Croft. Thank you very much indeed for joining us over on LinkedIn. Dan Cullen says, looks a great machine, but it's heavier on the rear or on slew compared to engine type. Probably, but you know. It's Komatsu. They'll have thought of that. You know they have. So let's have some of this.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Just going to pop back to the chat to all things Komatsu. Graham Footy Williams. It was his birthday yesterday. Komatsu are really lovely machines to drive. Awesome they are. Love the way when you take the bucket off the two buttons you have to press. The ease of the activation of it all. It's all round brilliant. That's not a bad recommendation. All round brilliant. Little like yourself, Graham. Now, I never meant for today's show to be a collection of leftovers from last night's all-electric extravaganza. That being said, I don't have a problem with leftovers. It's a whole other story. You might recall, however, that our mate Garvin from Mostly Diggers, at Mostly Diggers over on Instagram, go take a look. He did mention a 17-ton all-electric dozer from Chinese manufacturer Shantui. Well, I scoured the web, stirred in some suitable music, and I can show that machine to you right now. Well, I find myself at odds with Dan Cullen. I was about to say, I love the colour scheme, but he says, looks a great machine, but colour doesn't look good for a dozer. Or is it just me? Dan, it's just you. I thought that looked gorgeous. Secondly, electric dozer, 17 tons, so somewhere between the D4 and the D5 or thereabouts. Doesn't look like it's lacking much in pushing power, does it? So, my question for you, therefore, quite possibly for the final time ever, do you believe the Shantui electric dozer to be electrifying? Please say yes. I want to get John Travolta back on the show one last time. While you're thinking about it, let me remind you of this.
If you would like to buy a limited edition Break Fast show sticker, head on over to buymeacoffee.com/demolition news/extras.
So, last night, the great and the good of the global demolition industry gathered in Toronto, in Canada, for the World Demolition Awards. I haven't seen all the results as yet. Basically, I was busy presenting last night's show and then relaxing afterwards, so no idea who really won. But there was one award that I did hear about, and it's one that is very, very close to my heart indeed. The winner in the plant and equipment innovation category was none other than the Jumbo, the machine built by Lorini, owned by Despe, and featured right here exclusively on this show. Now, under normal circumstances, I hate to repeat myself, but in this instance, I'm going to make an exception. I'm about to show you what it takes to be a world beater, but I have to dredge this from my computer because it's a big old file, so bear with me 1 second. Bergamo, Italy. Northeast of Milan, this historic city in the Alpine region of Lombardy is characterised by its cobblestone streets and 19th century funicular railway. In the foothills of the Alps, encircled by Venetian walls, it is home to the Duomo di Bergamo, the city cathedral. But here, there is another kind of religion. Atalanta, BC. And this is their church. We're here in Bergamo in Italy with the mighty Despe, and behind me is the Jumbo. Despe is, quite simply, one of the most admired and most revered demolition contractors in the world. The company has been a consistent winner of World Demolition Awards pretty much since the awards first began. It has spawned not one, but two European Demolition Association presidents. And it has seen its reputation grow beyond its native Italy, with the company increasingly working overseas. Yet in some ways, Despe is a company of contradictions. Much of its reputation has been built upon innovation and its willingness to forge new paths, develop new methods, and to embrace new techniques. Yet, at its heart, Despe is a family business that has retained its family values. And while it has seen its reputation and its operations spread to other parts of the world, Despe's roots are buried deep in Bergamo soil, which explains the company's association with the Atalanta Football Club. The company could have chosen to follow one of the more glamorous football teams from just up the road in Milan. But instead, the company is inextricably linked with the team the directors grew up supporting. For those directors, weekdays are spent working in demolition and construction, but weekends are spent at the stadium of their beloved Atalanta. So when plans were drawn up to rejuvenate that stadium, it seemed only fitting that the demolition of the stands should fall to the company that has, for decades, stood upon them. Over the years, Atalanta has brought in big and imposing strikers to score goals, to lead the line, and to push the club to ever greater heights. Despe has adopted that philosophy and has brought in a giant strike force of its own. That strike force is known simply as the Jumbo. Weighing in at more than 350 tonnes, the Jumbo is one of the biggest demolition excavators the world has ever seen. The machine wields a 12-ton attachment that consumes concrete like an Italian eats pasta. According to Despe, the Jumbo was created by 3 pairs of hands, those of Caterpillar, Lorini and Despe itself. That description is unquestionably accurate. But in truth, the Jumbo is like the finest Italian pizza. Caterpillar provided the expertly crafted base. Despe selected only the finest toppings, and Lorini baked it all to perfection. It is a cliche, but in demolition, as in football, teamwork really does make the dream work. I'm with Dan Cullen on this. He said, when I can find it, what a beast. Still getting goosebumps even looking at it. So am I. I've been fortunate enough in this job to have some very memorable trips. That would be way, way at the top of the list. Absolutely fantastic machine, fantastic company. And I'm going to go through this a bit more because there's lots of nice things being said here and they're well deserved. Just think some lucky sod gets to sit in the cab of that every day and operate that beautiful machine. God, I'd love a crack on that lump. I've been in it. I didn't dare drive it, but I've been in it. Garvin, good morning to you, sir. Says Lorini are another level of engineering. They look at the challenge and the constraints and engineer their way through every element. Very impressive company. Yes, I totally agree. I was hoping to be able to visit Lorini the last time I was in Italy, and I'll come back to that in just a second. Couldn't get the dates to coincide, but I am going to visit Lorini. If it kills me, hoping it won't, but if it kills me, I am going to get myself over there. I think I've made the mistake of trying to get a visit to Lorini to coincide with a visit to Despe. Maybe, not even maybe, I think what I need to do is just set a date to go over to Lorini and go and see him direct, go and see Marco himself. Graham Footy Williams says, I've been asking Marco for a test drive. Good luck with that. What a machine, Marco Lorini. William Forrest says, 100% agree. That was a great video. Marvelous filming by yourself and Fred. I'd love to take the plaudits, but I had bugger all to do with that. That was all Fred's handiwork. Andy Dovell, look at the balance of that machine. 12 tons on the pin, at nearly full reach, and it's sat steady as a rock. That is one excellently engineered, well-engineered piece of demolition equipment. Do you know, that was one of the things that we were watching. you don't get to see the things that we get to see, obviously, because we edit the video. But we arrived at that site and sort of turned the corner. We could see the top of the boom, but parked the car, walked in, and there it was. There it was. And the first thing I did was to look at the undercarriage, because the machine was working almost at full reach, 12-ton tool. And there it's at. It did not budge one bit. Andy Dovell says, fantastic video, Mark. Fantastic video, Fred. Dan Cullen, I'd love to sit in that operate for just one day. Yeah, absolutely right. Just proves anything is possible if you have the imagination. I only have this on second-hand information, but I am told that Marco Lorini's business card, rather than calling him CEO, founder, director, it says Marco Lorini, dreamer. It's got to be the best business card in the whole world, surely, isn't it? And Andy Delvell was saying good morning to Tim. I don't know who Tim is. I don't know where Tim is watching from, but morning, Tim. Andy Delvell sends his best regards. Now, obviously, all of that talk about Despe, Italy, Lorini, and all that kind of thing. Perfect segue into something else involving our friends at Despe. I'm going to be back here again tonight, 7 p.m, for the world premiere of another new film. It's called The Fourth Way. That film charts the top-down way tower block demolition system that I went to see in Milan just a few weeks ago. I'm going to be showing that film in public for the first time ever tonight at 7 p.m. So please join us if you possibly can. Now, there is no gripe of the day. Frankly, I'm too tired to be miserable. So instead, we've got a bonus film for you. And this one features Skanska, who are pretty big, and Caterpillar, pretty big too. Take a look.
If I had to say one word about Caterpillar, it would be connected. So I see that CatGrade and eFence will help contractors at every level and small groups as well, house builders, drainage teams. They're able to pull their grades for trenches and do the flat areas as well. eFence will be really useful for restricting the slew of the machines, be it to protect from the workforce, or if there's overhead cables, or if they're working inside, say, a farm barn. In the UK, CAT technologies are used on a variety of projects. I'm just about to start a project with Skanska, the A428. That will be all 3D machine control from the get-go, and it will probably be from every type of machine, all the way from earthworks to paving. But there's not just restricted to large projects as well. We have small projects where we're doing works with Anglian water, where 3D machine control could be utilised for putting in ponds, trenches, and settlement ponds. The reasons that we use CatGrade and 3D machine control and all these technologies is to drive efficiency, to make it greener, and ensuring that the people-plant interface is reduced. If you look at some of the reports that have come out from Caterpillar, they show a fundamental saving in fuel and an increase in efficiencies. And the modern technologies that are available today out of the box can drive your site to be more efficient. If I was about to buy equipment in the future, I would buy equipment that would be equipped with eFence and Grade Assist. If you imagine that I come to, say I was an house builder and I wanted to use this equipment, I would be able to pull my trenches nice and level straight away from the get-go. I wouldn't need to have profiles and pins around. And again, if I wanted to use eFence to protect myself from banging into a wall, banging into a transit van, or working inside a large industrial unit, these technologies I would ensure would be on my first purchase of machine. If you enable these existing technologies, you will reduce your fuel burn, you'll make it safer, and it will be greener, and you'll have more efficient sites. The availability of these built into machines from the factory makes them appealing to people that buy equipment.
Awesome stuff. Now, going to go back to the chat. I said that Marco Lorini's business card said he is Marco Lorini, dreamer. Apparently, he also describes himself as a madman. Tim Ray has joined us. Tim apparently is a high reach operator, and I'm going to say good morning to him. Don't remember seeing him here before, so he gets the welcome confetti. Morning, Tim. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Probably at Andy Darvell's recommendation, but thank you very much indeed for being here. We're here live every day, 10 a.m. Well, live every weekday at least. Let's have a look. Dan Cullens just said welcome, first time on here. Tim Ray, the thing you missed was Despay's big old cat. Yes, it is. Now Tim Ray says that lump with no water system built into it. Andy Darvell says, does it have a dust suppression system on it, Mark? No, it does not, and it does not for a reason. Again, this is Despay doing Despay things. One of the issues that Despay identified when they were speccing that machine, bearing in mind they've had a big leap here, not quite as big, but a big leap here for a decade or more. One of the issues that they identified was built-in dust suppression tends to create a cloud of water and dust mixed, which obscures vision to the attachment, according to Despay. So Despay, rather than allowing that to continue, what they decided was they would go away, and you'd have seen them in the film. They've got a couple of cement mixers filled with water with kind of a concrete pump arm on them, all remote controlled. There's a guy, you saw the guy in the film, he's there with his remote control, and he is putting water where it's needed, but he puts it on the other side of the attachment. So imagine my microphone is an attachment, he's putting it there. So between the operator and the attachment, it's clear. You can see very, very well. Back here, dust, water, but it doesn't matter because the operator can see precisely what he's looking at. I picked up on that when I was there. That doesn't appear to be dust suppression. And I was told by Roberto Panseri, it was deliberate. This wasn't an oversight. It wasn't an afterthought. It was deliberate completely. Graham Footy Williams says there is a D11XE electric dozer. There kind of is. It's still diesel powered, to the best of my knowledge, like the D6XE, but the drive to the undercarriage is electric. So it's not all electric, as we would say. It's not an electric. It's not battery powered or mains powered, but there is an electric drive. So not an electric dozer in its truest sense, unlike the machine that we showed you just now, the Shantui, which is all electric. Mike Wright is here as well. There's Andy Darvell saying good morning to him. Dan Cullen, great informative video. I think that was the one from Skanska and Caterpillar. And here's Andy Darvell just proving that maybe Despay, I don't think there's any doubt about it, but Despay know what they're talking about. Yeah, it's bloody annoying to have a mist right in front of the attachment, especially when the sun is hitting it, completely blinds you. Bearing in mind that machine is in Italy, it's quite sunny a lot of the time in Italy. They have thought that through. It's not like a certain demolition company that I've already mentioned today, and it wasn't Erith, a certain demolition company today that ordered a very, very smart, very, very sexy and awfully expensive new demolition excavator. It had all the bells and whistles, no reversing camera. Best part of £1 million, no reversing camera, but that was not the case with this. That machine was spec'd that way for a reason. I was wondering what the cement mixers were for. I've got to be absolutely honest with you. It would never be allowed to happen because it's not mainstream enough. I reckon if Despay were to enter those cement mixer dust suppression systems into an innovation ward on their own, they would deserve to win. As I say, there's a guy there with a remote control, and he is basically in perfect harmony. He stood way, way, way away from the action, but he stood there with his remote control, a bit like the Remo Quip system. And as the attachment goes to work, he puts the mist there. This is my attachment. He puts it there. Absolutely faultless. Really is a fantastic system. Anyway, that pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show. Not much prep to do tonight because the top-down way show that we've got for you tonight, the film is about 11 minutes long. So I'm going to do a bit of an introduction to tell you what it's all about. press the play button, and then we can have a chat about it. So no great prep to do today, but I do have some other bits and pieces to do. But final reminder, no show tomorrow. I want no messages on WhatsApp saying, where is he? I won't be here. I'll be somewhere else. But that pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. If you can't stick around, please stay safe. Look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. Have a good day. Have a good Friday. Have a good weekend as well. And I'll be back here on Monday. But I'll see you tonight, possibly. But if you do have the inclination and the time, stick around, because after this final word from our key show sponsor, I'll be back with the Craic. Oh, music's a bit loud today. Still a bit loud? That's probably better. What firm have just bought a new beast machine? I missed that this morning. I was talking about Cat 352s, and I was actually talking about Armac. Armac have got, I think they've got a pair of 352s, and as you may have seen in the chat, Andy Dyson is or possibly was here from Erith. They've got a couple as well. Replaced their Hitachi 490s. Let's have a look. Dan Cullen says, well, guys, I'm on my way home. Can't work on this machine, so hopefully repaired tomorrow. Komatsu coming out to look at the problem. Are you some kind of Jonah, Dan? Because it seems like machines just go, and people seem to go wrong around you quite a bit. Not sure that's the truth or not. Marco also does some other good machines. There's a nice cat track machine dumper. Yeah, they certainly do that. As I say, I'm hoping to get over to see Larini. I would love to get back to Italy this side of Christmas. I really would. Marco, if you're watching, let's have a chat. First off the mark this morning was Gary Muirhead. I won't bore you with the whole details of the conversation, but obviously Gary provided today's question of the day. We'll come back to that in a second. But Gary has also pointed out that today is show number 597. 3 more shows. So Wednesday next week, we hit the 600. Not that big a deal, to be honest. The way I saw it, 100 was good. 250 was great. 500 was fantastic. But 600, it's a bit like somebody celebrating their 30th birthday. It's not your 21st. It's not your 50th. It's just a bit in between. So we got to talking on WhatsApp, and obviously the next real landmark, I guess, is 1,000. So on the basis that we do somewhere between 200 and 220 shows a year, 600, that puts us about 2 years away from the magic 1,000. I mean, assuming you keep tuning in, and assuming that I don't keel over before then. So yes, we're working towards the 1,000. Yeah, 600 on Wednesday. Join us. I don't know if we can do anything for that. It's not that big a deal, is it? But just another show. Chris Ford, you've had an upgrade. I don't know if you know this. You don't know this. There's no way you would know this. So I have on my desk here my Stream Deck. You can see all of those letters there. Those are all initials of our various regular viewers. And when you arrive in the chat, all of those that arrive on a regular basis, I press a button and it sends you a good morning message. Up until this morning, Chris, you've been on page 2. But we've not seen Nick Drew on the show for quite some time. So I've taken him off and I've bumped you up to the first page. You were on page 2, you're now on page 1. So, welcome to page 1. It means nothing at all. Peter McKenna, morning all. Just watched Electric on catch up. Great show. Shame I missed it. It was a shame you missed it, but I'm very, very pleased that you managed to watch it on catch up. We're actually going to add it to our electric earth moving equipment website today. But yeah, just a quick reminder, Peter, assuming you're not busy and assuming your wife will allow it, we're back here again tonight at 7 with our fourth way, which is about the top down way. Mark Whiting won that last night and is giving it away. giving it away to Ken Hatcher. He's giving it to Ken Hatcher, but he's kind of giving it to Ken's new iPhone, which he's going to be receiving in the not too distant future. So, Ken, I'm going to check your address at some point this morning, and then I'm going to get myself down to the post office and get that off to you. But you owe a thank you to Mark Whiting. Glenn Johnston's in the house. Morning, Glenn. How's things with you? Is anybody else seeing the bad weather? Has anybody else had the bad weather? We had about half an hour last night where it was, as my mother would have said, blowing a hoolie. But no, it didn't really come to anything. We had a little bit of rain, had a little bit of wind, and then it was all gone. There's Lou Carney, also going to watch the electric show last night on catch up. It's a belter. It really is. But there's Lou saying good morning as well. Peter McKenna says, Storm Babette has let up here for now, but the weather warnings for it are in place until midday on Saturday. Keep safe, people. Please keep safe. County Cook suffered at the hands of Babette and endured severe flooding. I've literally not had a chance to look at the news today. Listen, I'm not a coal miner. I'm not a nurse or a surgeon, but evening shows do stuff me up somewhat. I finished the show last night, went off and ate my fish and chips, gradually started to fall asleep on the sofa, went to bed, couldn't get to sleep, woke up this morning far too early. So yes, I'm not really firing all cylinders, so not had a chance to look at the news. I will do that a bit later on. Well done, Mark. That's a really nice thing that you've done, giving your prize. That is Mark Whiting donating his wireless charger to our friend Ken Hatcher. William Forrest. Just to let you know, the reason I was up to date with all things attachment company, I spoke to William this morning via LinkedIn. I am planning to do a video interview, a remote one, because I'm currently no plans to be in Scotland anytime soon. So my plan is to do an online interview, a bit like this, but with two people. I'll be bringing that to you very, very soon. So watch this space. Watch this space, I would say. There is Andy Dyson. Good morning, Demolishers. We need a name, don't we? Did we ever get to the bottom of that? You know, Beyonce has her fans and they're called, what are they called? Are they the Beehive? I think they are the Beehive. I think Justin Bieber's are the Beliebers. Lady Gaga's are the Little Monsters. We need something here. We need a collective term for all of you lot. Anybody got any suggestions? Love to hear from you. William Forrest, thanks for the shout out, Mark. Appreciate it. Not a problem at all. Now, here is the question of the day, and I'm going to read it properly this time. What is your favourite current TV show? Now, if you were to ask me my favourite TV show of all time, The Newsroom. No question about it. Magnificent. I have to say, Boston Legal is probably running it a close second. Loved Hill Street Blues back in the day. Used to love Only Fools and Horses, The Far Show, and all of these sort of things. But current TV show. And I think this kind of reveals, because there's a couple of people saying it, not just me, it kind of reveals how our habits have changed. I remember going to school on a Friday because Thursday was Top of the Pops night, and you go in on the Friday and everybody in my class and my year was all talking about what they'd seen on the show Top of the Pops the night before. It dictated our fashion, it dictated our discussions, it dictated our taste in music. There's nothing like that now. And I've got another thing about that, the whole music thing, which I'll very quickly mention. When I was a kid, we used to go to house parties, and the rule was you'd kind of sneak in some booze because you were 14 years old, and that's the way you had to do things. But you would arrive clutching a bunch of albums that you would add to the pile on the table, and they would be played throughout the night, and hopefully you'd get them back at the end of it. But part of the deal with those, and I'm talking about proper vinyl albums, you know, that sort of size. No, you can't. You may be able to make out the Ultravox one, but it's just there. That was an indicator to my generation of the people that had just arrived. You know, if they had, I don't know, OMD or Human League or Ultravox or Heaven 17 or ABC under their arm, they were considered pretty cool. If they were male, you'd probably get on with them. If you were female, you'd want to get off with them. That was the way the rules were. That doesn't happen anymore. How do people get by? I don't know. All of which brings me back to Gary Muirhead's question. What is your favourite current TV show? Because I don't think that many people are really watching TV. As I say, I mean, my wife was away in Greece a couple of weeks back, and the TV was off the entire time she was away. Literally did not turn on the TV at all. Not once. What is your favourite current TV show? There is our friend William clarifying. His fiancée, who also works in the attachment company up in Bonnie, Scotland, is Laura, and his brother is Andrew. He's over in the States doing exactly the same thing over there. Looking forward to hearing more about that. Good morning, everyone. There's Tom Whiting, who we discovered last night is absolutely no relation whatsoever to Mark Whiting. There is Ken Hatcher arriving in the pouring rain and is now, or soon to be, the proud owner of that. Question of the day. Tom Whiting says, I've hardly watched any telly except Taskmaster for over a year. Nearly all YouTube that I watch. I'm exactly the same. Exactly the same. Ken Hatcher is into Gold Rush at the moment, but I would guess, and I don't know because I've never watched an episode, are you watching that currently or are you watching that on catch-up? I don't know the answer to that. If anybody can advise me, please let me know. Dan Cullen, don't mention Komatsu to me today. Ha ha ha, unbelievable. Yeah, Dan is having issues with Komatsu machines at the moment. Question of the day, I didn't need my wife to tell me this. Yes, she will sit there and watch Sky News all the live long day. Gary Muirhead. Now, I didn't have Gary Muirhead down as a fan of ballroom dancing, but you can't judge a book by its cover. Question of the day has to be strictly Saturday night takeaway, couple of ciders in front of the TV with the good lady. Do you know what? Listen, not really my cup of tea, but it's not the dancing. I actually don't have an issue with the dancing. In fact, when the good ones are left, I have to say, hats off, they do a very good job. The reason I don't watch Strictly, Tess Daly, can't bear her, but more than that is the way that they do the music. They have a live band, effectively, covering well-known songs poorly. Now, if you're of a certain age, I've already mentioned Top of the Pops, the TV show, but there was another Top of the Pops. If you were around in the 70s, you may remember this. There used to be a record label called Top of the Pops. And they would put out 2, 3, 4 albums a year. A bit like, now that's what I call music back in the day. The difference was, to get round copyright issues, the Top of the Pops record label used to get non-famous people to re-record current music. Always badly. And my nan, my dad's mum used to buy me a Top of the Pops album every single Christmas. And they were terrible. Even your favourite song sounded bloody awful on a Top of the Pops album. So that's why, a long way of saying, that's why I don't watch Strictly. I can't bear the cover versions. Graham is having issues with his internet. It's in and out like a yo-yo. Is it in and out like a yo-yo? I thought it was in and out like a fiddler's elbow. Maybe that's just me. Dan Cullen says, Living with My Killer on Netflix. Not seen that. May have to give that a look. I have to admit, I do occasionally look at Netflix and then decide, no, I've seen most of that, and the bits that are left that I haven't seen don't really fancy. 5 o'clock, if I get down by the TV, I like to watch Kinder Cars. What on earth is Kinder Cars? Never heard of that. Only TV I watch is sport, says Andy Dyson. Yeah, I have to admit, if there's football on, I'm down with that. Irvin Welsh's crime series on ITVX streaming is the current favourite watch. Not seen that. But this is the Irvin Welsh, the author, one assumes. Can you understand him? Does he not speak in pure Glaswegian? Or have I got me Irvin Welsh's mixed up? Maybe. Question of the day. Tipping point. Tipping point. Little things, please, little minds. Or battle bots for a bit of gratuitous violence. Now, if I've never seen battle bots, I'm sure it's like Robot Wars or something similar. Tipping point. But in the last iteration of this studio, there used to be a TV. In fact, it was in the corner of our front room. So I do my work during the day, and then basically shut everything down. But Tipping Point used to come on just as I was winding down for the day. Have to admit, used to quite like Tipping Point. Not a huge fan of Ben Shepherd, even though he is a West Ham fan. But yeah, Ken Hatcher says, looks a nice machine. Trying to remember where did we start today? Where did we start today? We started with the Cat 352. That explains it. Yep, Erith switched from Hitachi 490s to Cat 352s. Excellent demolition excavator. And that, to my mind, is a big deal. You know, Hitachi, I would still consider Hitachi to be one of the global leaders in the manufacture of excavators. Erith have had a relationship with them quite some time. They've switched to the Cat 352. What does that say about Caterpillar? And what potentially does that say about Hitachi? Interesting. Gary Muirhead says, I like the reverse fan idea. I'm fairly sure that's borrowed from the waste industry, isn't it? I know a lot of the old Cat waste compactors and certainly the Bomag waste compactors used to have a very similar system. Question of the day, Glenn Johnston also says he's watching more YouTube. Let me see, tend to watch more YouTube than TV. Professional struggler, Welder Faber. Welder Faber. I need to go and have a look at that. Auto reverse fan is a must for demolition, says Leslie McGeehee. Graham Williams says they look like they've got a lunchbox on the back of them. You can't see out the back window. Didn't notice that. We'll have to go and take a look at that. There is Dan Cullen saying that's electrifying. I think that was the, let me think. What was the first electric machine we showed today? Was that the Komatsu? No, it was the Mecalac. Yes, it was electrified. And there's Andy Darvell, who is also enjoying the weather by the looks of it. Dan Cullen looks a great machine. Is it heavier on the slew compared to engine type? He then goes on to say that question, or raise it as a question. On electric machines, does the slew ring get more wear and tear compared to diesel fuel machines? It's a good question. I will ask the question next time I'm with one of the engineering types at one of the major manufacturers. But again, these machines are being effectively recreated. I don't suppose for 1 minute, I'm bearing in mind, if they stick with a slew ring that is not up to the job, somebody's going to get an awfully big warranty claim, aren't they? I would imagine that the likes of Komatsu, Volvo, JCB, Caterpillar, all these people have been back to square one and said there's a lot of weight up top on these machines now. We need to upgrade that slew ring. I'm sure they've thought of that. Let's have a look. Komatsu fan club, Graham Footy Williams. Let's have a look. Graham says, Cat has just bought out electric dozers. In a manner of speaking, first one was back in, I think it was 2019, which was the Cat D6 XE. But it's electric drive motors. But those drive motors are powered from a diesel engine. And I'm fairly sure that has now worked its way up through the range, and I'm fairly sure that's what the XE stands for. So if you see a D8 XE, it's not electric, but it's got electric drive motors. I'm fairly sure it's one on each corner or thereabouts. You know what I'm saying. I bet that's good. Got some power to push. Looks like an old Komatsu dozer. Yes, it does. It certainly does. And I wasn't alone in thinking it looked nice in blue. Not quite Cabelco blue, but nice anyway. I've been denied the opportunity, though, of replaying John Travolta because Graham, not a fan. Dan Cullen, sat on the fence. Don't think we've got the Chanterie machines over here yet. Certainly see them at all the major exhibitions. They were at ConExpo, they were at Bauma as well. So they're drawing ever closer, but that seems to be the Chinese way, doesn't it? Which, incidentally, is the name of a Level 42 song. It's just flashed into my head. Shows my age. I was listening to Level 42 last night. That's a whole other story. But yes, the Chinese way does seem to be, they start in China and then they gradually expand. If you think about XCMG, we've been predicting XCMG were coming to the UK for 3 years, possibly even 4, and now they're finally here. And then we got on to the Jumbo. What a beast. Still getting goosebumps. Yeah, me too. And I have to say, I had the news. Graham Footy Williams sent me a message this morning to say that the Jumbo had won the World Demolition Award, but I also got it from another couple of places as well. And I have to say, made my day. I had nothing to do with it. All I did was go along and look on admiringly while Larini and Despe and Caterpillar had done their handiwork Fred made the thing look sexy as hell. I had nothing to do with it, but me and the Jumbo, we're kind of eternally linked now. So I was delighted. It almost felt like I'd won a World Demolition Award, which will never happen. Rival publication. See, Andy W. I just think some lucky sod gets to sit in the cab every day and operate that beautiful machine. God, I would love a crack on that lump. You know, it was. I've had this twice now with Despe, and I will. One of these days I will sit them down and I will. 3 times actually. It's just occurred to me 3 times. I will sit them down one of these days and I will explain to them their role in the world demolition industry and my role in the world demolition industry. So when I went to see the Jumbo, the operator of the machine was told that Demolition News was on site. He stopped the machine because he wanted a photograph done with me. I don't think he understood the fact that I'd come to see him. I was completely unimportant in all of this. I'd come to see him and his ride. I was unimportant. Then, sure enough, you go to Milan. You'll see it tonight. I arrive. I've known Stefano Panzeri for 25 plus years, I would guess. And he said he was honoured to have me there. Stefano, I was honoured to be there. You're the important one. I'm just floating around. And then, literally the last day of our trip to Milan, a couple of weeks back, we've done the visit. I've been up the tower. We've seen the top-down way, been pressed, done the interview, got all the video in the can. We're downstairs, taking off hard hats. There's one above my head there, you can see it. Taking off hard hats and high-vis and everything else. And a guy came running in, wanted to get his photograph done with Demolition News. It was like I was somehow the star. I'm not. It's imagine trying to think of a good way to describe this. Anybody old enough to remember Film Today? What was the name of the guy that did that? Barry somebody or other? Barry Norman. Barry Norman was a TV film critic. It's like Barry Norman going to see Steven Spielberg and Steven Spielberg saying, "So glad you're here." It's the other way round, guys. You're the important thing. I'm just a bloke that presses some buttons. I think we need to start a UK branch of the Lorini fan club. Lorini are another level of engineering. Yet there are times when in the past when I've compared what they do to what Craic do, and in some ways there are similarities. They both extend undercarriages, both lengthwise and widthwise. They both put high reach booms on. Lorini, I think, have got another level to them, and I have to say, just watching some of the stuff that they do from afar, love to get over there. Marco, please, let's have a chat. What a machine, Marco Lorini. Yep, totally, 100%. Great film by yourself and Fred, entirely Fred. Look at the balance of that machine, 12 tons at the pin, nearly full reach, and it's sat steady as a rock. It doesn't budge. It really doesn't budge. Fantastic video, Mark. Thank you very much indeed, Andrew. Just proves anything is possible if you have the imagination. And I think that's one of the things that came out to me when you may remember I described the machine. Let me wind back. Roberto Panzeri of Despe said that there were 3 pairs of hands involved in the creation of that machine. There was Caterpillar, who came up with the base machine. There was Despe, who came up with the idea, and then it was Lorini that delivered it. And I then likened it to a pizza, finest Italian pizza. So Caterpillar crafted that base, the all-important base. Then Despe selected all the relevant toppings. It went for its prosciutto and its buffalo mozzarella. And then they handed it all to Lorini, and Lorini baked it to perfection. And that is precisely where that kind of relationship works. You could almost imagine Despe going to Marco Lorini and says, "We've got an idea." And Marco Lorini saying, "The answer's yes. Now, what is the idea?" And there is another thing, and I will need to speak to Despe about this. This has got nothing to do with Lorini, as far as I know, nothing to do with them at all. Despe have come up with a couple of ways of taking down things like cooling towers and chimneys. They have got the whole spider thing. So imagine a mini excavator on multiple legs. It sits atop. This, in actual fact, that was actually the way that the top-down way came together. So it sits on a pedestal on the top of a cooling tower, and it pecks away and gradually takes the thing down and down and down. That's one way. That's not unusual. There's a German system that does a very similar thing. Not unusual at all. But they've got another one. They have actually got some muncher pulverizer attachments that are suspended from a crane. But above the attachment is basically a fan unit. And depending how they angle the fan, they can change the angle of the several ton attachment below. So it's basically taking the same navigation system they had on things like the old Zeppelin airships, but they've applied it to a demolition attachment. So the attachment comes down on a cable, it attaches itself to the top of the, I don't know if you can see that, attaches itself to the top of the cooling tower or chimney, and then the angle of approach is controlled by a fan. That's some smart thinking right there. There's lots of people welcoming Tim Craic. Good of you to join us, Tim. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Lots to talk about their dust suppression system, or lack thereof. We've explained that one. D11XE electric dozer. Yeah, electric, but only at the drive motors, not electric under the bonnet. Let's have a look. Graham Footy Williams says, can I come as well so I can test drive the Jumbo, please? Listen, I'll ask the question, but I'm probably not going to get very far with that. Let's have a look. Not a great first week. It's I have ways of getting things done right, but barely done anything. Seals blowing and diesel problems on this thing. Yeah, people don't understand my method until they see it, and they understand. Yeah. Why do you think I work alone, Dan? Is that horizontal promotion? Is what horizontal promotion? Not sure. The disconnect between when the chat started and me getting to it, I don't know what that one's all about. Did you forget to hit the welcome button for a few people? I may have done. They come through so quickly now, and I'm so busy putting Chris Ford on the front page that I may have missed you. Sorry, Dan. Coming down, cats and dogs in Devon. Does that a lot, doesn't it? Devon and Cornwall. When it's glorious down there, it is truly glorious. When it's awful, man alive, be somewhere else. Peter McKenna. Move south, says Dan Cullen, and you'll get a little bit of better weather. True. Paul Deegan's with us as well. Not sure what that is. I think those are probably icons or something like that, but I can't see them. Music nowadays is worse ever. Can't listen to modern music. Pure rubbish. Have to admit, can't remember the last time. That's a lie. I can remember the last time I heard something of today that I actually appreciated. Although it does have connections with the past. I don't know if you're aware, Eddie Van Halen, obviously one of the world's greatest guitarists, was the guitarist with Van Halen. It was named after him. Obviously, it was named after him. Eddie Van Halen died a few years ago, very, very sadly, very, very prematurely. But he has a son. He has a son called Wolfgang Van Halen. Yes, he does. And Wolfgang Van Halen is a one-man band. He has a band called Mammoth, but it is just him. He writes everything, he sings everything, he plays the drums, the bass, the electric guitar, as well as his dad. Seriously, he plays everything. And the whole of his current album is good, but there is a song on there called Take a Bow. Go give it a listen. Take a Bow by Mammoth. It is a work of genius. Gary Muirhead, does your good lady watch this show? And how's Mrs. Demolition? Hope she's feeling better. No, she's doing okay. As I say, she's off shopping today. So, yes, the grandchildren don't know they're born. Oh, no, not Top of the Pops albums. I still could find one now. I'm so glad somebody else remembers them. I was starting to think that it was just me, but yeah, they really were bloody awful. And do you remember, Chris, that they always had an attempted... if you're old enough to remember the Top of the Pops albums, you're probably old enough to remember the Top of the Pops TV show. And everyone used to talk about Pan's People. and Legs and Co, the dancers on the show, as being sexy. They really weren't. And on the front cover of all of those Top of the Pops albums was a girl in, just a t-shirt or a bikini, but always looked a bit like your mate's mum. Not. I've got to buy that album. She's gorgeous, but on about compilation albums, I still have the original K-Tel record of original recording somewhere, not seen the light of day for 45 years. I bet there's a few quid's worth there. But K-Tel, do you remember K-Tel? K-Tel used to have adverts every Christmas. There was always a K-Tel something or other. You remember that very well. Operate the Cat always said they look like they got lunchbox sitting on the back because the engine bay sits so high up on the arse end. You need to go and take a look. Now, I do just very, very quickly. Paul McHale from Singapore is in the house. Paul McHale is not from Singapore, but Paul McHale is in Singapore and he's watching live. Paul, welcome. Thank you for joining us, my friend. Dan Carlin, demolition is a different category of use on machines compared to civils, as it's a harsh environment on equipment. You'll find out the best manufacturer of these environments, big names, is an all-round great in certain environments. It's very true. Graham Footy Williams at Top of the Pops. I remember watching Madness. Do you remember Madness? I've seen Madness live a couple of times, and they are magnificent. Last time I saw them was at Glastonbury, and their final song, the final song that they always play, is my personal favourite from the Madness back catalogue, is a song called Night Boat to Cairo. Anybody remember that? And when they play Night Boat to Cairo, they get the family of all the members of there used to be 7, there's now only 6, but they get the members of their family. So there's children and grandchildren jumping around on stage. Night Boat to Cairo. If you haven't heard it, you've missed a treat. That pretty much does us for now. I'm going to be back here in about 8 hours time, I suppose, isn't it? About 8. Well, 7 3/4 hours actually. I'm going to be back here at 7 p.m. tonight. As I say, the film itself is only about 11.5 minutes, not hugely long, although very proud of it. Very proud of my son for producing it, actually. So we'll be showing that for the first time ever. You'll be the first people to see it, apart from Stefano Pansieri at Despa. He's the only person that's seen it so far. So this really is the true world premiere. We'll be playing that for you just after 7 tonight. We're going to do a very quick intro, throw the video out there, and then we can have a natter, because the system itself is an engineering marvel. I'm fairly sure that the Top Down Way won a World Demolition Award for innovation sometime, maybe about a decade ago, and it's been around various locations. I think its first outing actually was in France. Then went back to Italy, went up to Glasgow, which is where I saw it first, and it's since been to Denmark. I think it went to Oslo, Denmark. No, it's Norway, isn't it? It went to Copenhagen, my apologies. It went to Copenhagen, Denmark, and now it's back in Milan. It's probably on the last knockings of the job that's gotten in Milan. We featured it there as well. So please join us if you can. Let's have a look. Dan Carnes, have a great day, a wonderful weekend, guys. Stay safe. I'm en route home. Have a safe journey home, Dan. Hope you can tune in tonight. Think you'll enjoy it. But if not, I will see you all on Monday. No show tomorrow. No show on Friday. Those are my final words on the subject. Everybody, see you tonight if you can. If not, see you Monday. All the best.